afternoon. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn series. Today we are happy to be here to talk about integrative medicine and our new clinic here on campus. And welcome to the Zoom participants. We can't see you, but you can hear us. We'd like to just take a little time with our team that's in the back here today. You folks here will be able to talk to these devoted team members in the back today about integrative medicine. I'm Connie Jennings. I'm the director for integrative medicine. I've been here at UK for a long time. In fact, I think I might be in one of those 1980 chemistry photos back there. Take time to look at these photos. They're very endearing. This is our cath lab here at UK. It's a beautiful spot. They do a wonderful job. And if you're having chest pain and sweat running down your face and finding it hard to talk, this is exactly where you want to be. This is where you need to be. We need this type of high-tech medicine. But our goal at integrative medicine is to maybe prevent some of the cases that are going into the cath lab for cardiac surgery. We think that by paying attention to some of the basics in integrative medicine, we might be able to decrease the number of cardiac events, stroke events, and diabetic complications. The use of integrative medicine across the United States seems to be increasing every year, and the CDC now recommends that over half of US adults use some form of integrative medicine. The most common uses are meditation and deep breathing, yoga, massage, relaxation, and supplements. The goal of integrative medicine is to focus on the relationship between the patient and the practitioner. It's that relationship that does the healing. We strive to focus on the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. Another way to think of integrative medicine is to remember that your best source of health information is right here, right inside. We all have our best doctor right here. We know, if we just take time to listen, we know what we need to eat, we know how much activity we need, and we know when it's time to be still. So we feel like part of our job in integrative medicine is to help people listen to that voice that's right here trying to keep us healthy. The benefits of integrative medicine are a long list, but some of the things that we noticed quickly is the effect that integrative medicine has on pain control. As you all know, pain control is a big issue now because we have this crisis with opioid use. People in the hospital and outside the hospital who use modalities from integrative medicine find they don't need as much pain meds. They don't need to use pain medicine as long when they leave the hospital after a surgery. People who practice integrative medicine seem to have a higher level mood. They have more resiliency. Things still happen, we still have dips, but we don't stay down as long when we have a modality that we can hold on to. It also strengthens the immune response. The immune response is what keeps us healthy. The immune response is what helps us make antibodies when we need antibodies. There's a very nice study that shows people who practice yoga and meditation make more antibodies when they receive their flu shots than people who are not practicing. We know that folks who practice integrative medicine have lower levels of inflammatory markers. We can actually measure these markers with blood tests now. And people who practice these modalities have lower levels of CRP, lower levels in SED rate, so that body has a lower level of inflammation. We know that inflammation is probably the root of all evil. It contributes to heart attacks, damage inside the blood vessels, strokes, and diabetic complications. By using integrative medicine and balancing the physical with the psychological part of ourselves, we're able to offer people hope. Many people who have complex chronic health problems feel out of control. They feel like they're relying on procedures, biopsies, prescriptions. When we can practice a modality in integrative medicine, we have hope, we have control over our own health. We think of integrative medicine in three parts primarily: food as medicine, exercise as medicine, and mind-body medicine. Food as medicine. Some of the main messages we try to give when we're thinking about our diets is number one, eat the rainbow. The Mediterranean diet is hard to beat. It's been around for a long time. It has something on it for everyone. It's good for vegetarians. It's good for people who like meat. There's something there for everyone. So eat the rainbow, eat your zip code. The zip code means, around here anyway, we can find local food about 9 months a year. We're very lucky in that way. And when it's not time for local food, it's okay to use frozen food. Frozen food is great. In fact, frozen food is harvested and frozen at the height of its ripeness. Sometimes when things come across the country, they're harvested before they're ripe. And so all the nutrients are not yet packed in that vegetable or fruit. So feel comfortable with your frozen fruits and vegetables. Remember what a portion is. Portion is the palm. And remember that it takes about 20 minutes for our brains to know that we've had a meal, regardless how much we eat. If it's a half sandwich or a sandwich and a half, it takes 20 minutes for the brain to know we've eaten. So lots of us with tight schedules maybe have to remember to slow down between bites, eat more mindfully. I like to ask folks to try to remember to have one meal at home every day. I was shocked to find out how many people eat out 3 times a day. It's very available. Sometimes we have to do that. But a reasonable goal is try to make one meal at home every day. And the scrambled egg counts. Activity is another message that our bodies are giving us. Sometimes we just have to stop and listen. The present recommendation for everyone is about 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise. Moderate exercise means you can walk and talk. That's moderate. So 20 minutes a day is a good place to start. A lot of us have trackers on our phones or Fitbits now where we can look at our steps. 10,000 steps a day is a great goal. For most people, that's almost 4 miles a day. People who exercise in the first hour of their day are shown to be more likely to be lifelong exercisers. So if you put your shoes right by the bed and try to get your exercise early in the day, you're more likely to be a lifelong exerciser, and you have a more efficient use of insulin through the day. Insulin metabolism gets a message first thing in the morning. That seems to be important. But if you can't exercise first thing in the morning, it's not always possible. Know that folks who exercise at the same time of the day seem to be more likely to stick with it. It can become a lot like when we brush our teeth. Most of us brush our teeth about the same time every day. We exercise at the same time every day, we're more likely to stick with it. This fella is supposed to be 70 years old. He looks pretty good. And the studies show that a 70-year-old that's exercising has at least 7 good, productive years in front of him or her. Whenever we can, if we can exercise outside, we get even more benefit. This is a Japanese word. Shinrin Yoku. This word was developed in the 90s by the Japanese Department of Forestry, Fishery, and Agriculture. This word literally means forest bathing. So studies show that people who walk inside as compared to people who walk outside, both groups have lower blood pressures, but the folks who walked outside had even lower blood pressures. There's something about connecting to nature, having contact with blue and green through our eyes, that helps our parasympathetic nervous system become more active. And when our parasympathetic is more active, we have lower blood pressures, lower heart rates, and lower respiratory rates. People who walk near cedar trees, cedar aroma helps to lower blood pressure. And forests that have pine trees seem to be the spot where people report more energy. One study showed folks reporting a 30% increase in energy when they walked around pine trees. That's Mother Nature's prescription.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they getting from cedar trees and pine trees? Are they smelling them?
It's the aromas.
Aromas, okay.
And some of the aromas and the resins that are made from the trees are actually bactericidal. And we're connected to these trees, whether we know it or not. And if you work here on campus and have a chance to walk on campus, the Urban Forestry Initiative reported that we have over 8,500 trees on this campus. It's an amazing place. We're surrounded by health and Mother Nature. We just have time to get outside. Mind-body medicine. Now we want to talk about the connection between our minds and our bodies. These are some of the examples of mind-body work that we do at our clinic that you can participate in. If we estimate that about 40 million Americans use some kind of mind-body modality, that calculates to about 1 person in 30 in a yoga class was advised to go to this class by the doctor. One person out of 30. So what we hope to see is that integrative medicine and these mind-body modalities will come to the top of the list and be things that we try earlier rather than our last resort. We really feel like we can help make a bigger impact on people's health when our clinicians remember to offer this to folks in the beginning. We'd like to see this become a fabric, a real fabric of our care here. Yoga is a popular form of this modality. Yoga, we think, is probably about 4,000 years old. The word yoga comes from an old Sanskrit word. This word means yoke. And it's to symbolize the association between the mind and the body. Yoga can be used as an exercise, as a meditation, as a stretch. People get different things from yoga. I've talked to several people who love hot yoga. That's a whole different ballgame. Some of the secondary outcomes from folks who practice yoga are improved overall physical function, better vitality, deeper sense of resiliency, and there's usually a social interaction. You can do yoga by yourself. Some of the apps are great, but lots of people enjoy being in a class and associating with other yogis. We know that people who practice yoga have an improved parasympathetic response, so their blood pressure is lower and their heart rates are lower. One thing about yoga is that with the stretches, it stretches the fascia. The fascia is one piece It's a fibrous network that goes from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet, one piece. So if we just stretch an arm, we really are stretching the entire fascia. And when that's stretched, it stimulates the white blood cells that live in the fascia. And that reminds the fascia to get busy, do your job, look for anything that's foreign, eat the virus, take care of that bacteria. This organism is alive. We need you to do your job. We can remind our immune system to turn on if we just stretch. And that's all it takes. You can sit at your desk and do 2 minutes of stretch. Tai Chi is an important form of mind-body modality. This study from physical medicine and rehab showed us that congestive heart failure patients who practiced Tai Chi had a markedly improved 6-minute walk. The 6-minute walk is something we measure in congestive heart failure patients to see if they're getting better or worse. Heart patients who practice Tai Chi had a better 6-minute walk, a better quality of life overall, and an improved ejection fraction. You'll get a chance to work with Dr. Slocum today after the presentation if you want to try some Tai Chi. Acupuncture is another modality that is another tool in the box. This cardiac journal showed us a study that was done on people who had AFib and they were shocked back into normal rhythm. And it compared the people who had recurrence of their AFib after their shock without any medicine or interference. AFib's 50% likely to return. If the person takes a medicine called amiodarone after their cardioversion, the likelihood of recurrence is 27%. And people who have acupuncture instead of the medication have a recurrence rate of about 35%. So it's pretty close. And with acupuncture, there are no side effects. The medicine that we typically give folks after cardioversion does, unfortunately, have several side effects.
So did you look at people who had the medicine and acupuncture if it was even less than that? They did both?
Oh, good question. No, I don't think that was an arm. But that'd be a great thing to study. And I might even be able to take less medicine, hopefully. Yeah. Reiki is one of the healing touch modalities that we have. Reiki is important because there are some people who really prefer not to be touched. We can do this mind-body energy healing without touching someone. We just get close. And for some people, that's very comfortable. This is a good form of relaxation. It helps people who are having trouble sleeping, anxiety, and even pain control. This study was done in Minnesota many years ago that showed over 5 years a survey of inpatients who were offered massage or Reiki. They found that Reiki gave them a better improvement in their sleep and anxiety. Aerial medicine is one of the offerings that we have that is very popular. We try to help people write their new biography. Often when folks are in the hospital, they have a new diagnosis, might have lost a limb, some people have a new heart, some people have a condition they're not going to get better with. Well, through prompts and a listening ear, we're able to help people write a biography that's different. It's one they were not expecting. But in this process, we can help them find meaning in this experience that they're going through. Meditation. Meditation is the tool that you have in your pocket all the time. The definition is paying attention on purpose without judgment give you just a second to say that to yourself. It's a mouthful. Paying attention on purpose without judgment. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. It takes a little practice. I often think of it as trying to lift 200 pounds. You can't start out lifting 200 pounds. So we lift 5 pounds. So we began our meditation practice, we just tried 5 minutes. And then moved to 10 minutes. And I often explain to folks, it's not about not thinking. We can't not think. Our brains are thinking all the time, and that's what they're meant to do. We want our brains to work. But we're trying to learn to take a moment to sit on the side and just observe. Just observe our thoughts rather than act on our thinking. So with meditation, we just practice bringing our awareness to one thing. And usually it's breathing. Breathing is the strongest, most powerful force that we can control. And if we just practice 2 or 3 minutes a day, bringing our awareness to our breathing, we will be more mindful about every single thing we do. We'll be more able to be present in the moment and focused on one thing at a time. People who practice this find that they have longer attention spans, they have better focus, and they're more positive. We spend less time falling into our negative default mode, which is what we're very good at. We're very good at expecting the worst. But when we practice meditation, we become more positive. We think it takes about 100 minutes to start building a new pathway through our brains. So for most of us, that would be 10 minutes, 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, we're starting a new neural pathway. And the new neural pathway does not go away. Even if we were to stop meditating, we still have that pathway. That's what happens when we try to undo something that we learned a long time ago. Maybe it was a habit or an attitude, a behavior that we developed as a child. It worked as a child, but as an adult, maybe it's not so beneficial anymore. We can't unlearn that. The pathway's there. But the exciting news is we can override it. Because our brains are so plastic, we can override behaviors that we're trying to change. So with our first 100 minutes of meditation, we are starting to build a pathway that is looking a little more like this pathway. This is the brain after it meditated. You see how the red that was right here changed to yellow. This is in real time. This is a functional MRI. So this shows us the brain as it's actually working and the results that came after this person meditated. Our brains really try to take care of us. We just have to give them the leeway to do it. Mental health experts who study people who are learning meditation found that apps work. We use our phones for almost everything. So I encourage each of you to find an app that you like that might help you with guided meditation, or sometimes just music. Sometimes it's just positive affirmation. Play it to yourself. We know when we play these kinds of apps to patients, as much as a week before their surgeries, they do better. They have better outcomes in surgery. They're in the hospital shorter, and they use less pain medicine. They're less likely to have to come back to the hospital in the short term. So apps work. Hope you can find one that you like. This is a number I just want you to remember. 1,440. It's not an immediate recognition to you. I'll remind you, that's how many minutes are in a day. Yeah. We have a lot of minutes every day. So if we took 10 minutes out, we would still have 1,430 minutes to get our lives done. This is a shot of our clinic. It's on the 3rd floor of the Whitney Hendrickson building. It's a beautiful, calm, soothing place. And we'd love for you to stop by, drop by anytime. If you just want to sit down and take a breath, please do. This is an example of the things that we offer in the price list. There's the phone number and the hours there. You can also find this on the website, the Integrative Medicine website. And if you need to call us, it's 323-HEAL, H-E-A-L. This is an example of some of the classes that we offer weekly and monthly. Also, these are on the website. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if there are any Zoom questions, you're going to type in.
Is this presentation going to be on our website so you could share it with other colleagues who couldn't come? Okay.
I think it is. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question. So how often do you get referrals from more traditional medical practices?
Well, actually, we get a lot. Yeah, we do. We get referrals from all different kinds of clinics, pediatrics and adults, surgery, oncology. Most all these modalities can be customized to fit individual problems.
I have a question. I came in late, so you might have addressed this before you started. My apologies. And so, how does UK's employee health insurance options interact with these provider options? Is there any
It's very good. Yeah, it's very good. UK HMO.
Just repeat the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me repeat the question. How does the UK insurance plan interact with these? Yeah. The acupuncture part is available with a copay, similarly to PT. And you can use your flexible spending plan for some of the other modalities. Sometimes we have grants that we can offer people who need help. Occasionally, we can put together a group appointment, and that's more affordable.
But even if it's referred from your general practitioner, it doesn't make a difference as far as the insurance goes, right? Okay.
No.
Okay, thanks.
There is a Zoom question. It was similar. It said, does the insurance cover any of the services? So you think you just answered that one.
Yeah, the insurance plan is actually pretty generous.
And then there's another question. It says, what are the pros and cons of high intensity cardio exercise compared to moderate intensity walking?
Well, I must say that whether you're going to do intense exercise or moderate exercise is person dependent. Certainly that's something that you'd want to talk over with your doctor about what would be better for you. I have to come back to what we said in the beginning. Listen to your body. Listen to yourself. It will be hard to go wrong by getting in your 150 minutes a week by walking 20 minutes a day. But if you're somebody who prefers the intense, getting your heart rate up to 140 beats, as long as your doctor's okay with that, I think that's good.
That's great.
Can you tell me more about how the Reiki works?
Well, Reiki is a energy, healing, touch modality. You enter that electromagnetic field from one person to the next. And Howell, who's our operations director, is a Reiki provider. So she might want to talk to you a little more about that.
And so I'm not sure what specific is. Questions about
How, how that energy field works in general, and how you're able to manipulate that just with, I'm sure it's a mutual energy that you're feeling.
yeah, absolutely, it is. I mean, a lot of times it's kind of best explained if you think about as a child, we learn if your head hurts, why do you hold your head, right? Or if your stomach's hurting, you start punching your stomach. Why do you do that? It's intuition. We've learned somehow within ourselves. We have that intuition that we make ourselves feel better. So with touch, in general, just healing touch, there's some of that we're doing with self-healing. Reiki, the way it works is that you're really a Reiki practitioner is a facilitator. And so it's really between you and this, what they say, kind of like higher being, whatever that may be. And it's really a lot of healing that you're doing within yourself. But the practitioner is there and can kind of within that energy field. And you can usually both feel it. And sometimes it's a little bit different experience for everyone. But
You can reallocate the energy fields or like balance them, I guess is the right thing.
you can, yeah, absolutely. It kind of helps like leave the body is what it does. So it kind of what I explain it as it's just the stress. You can sometimes you feel like, and sometimes people feel it that the practitioner doesn't feel, but you may feel things, energy kind of, leaving the body. It may look like things like you may experience some bubbling within your stomach. There's just different things that you experience with it.
Relationship between the patient and
You mentioned acupuncture, but I also know acupressure is something that maybe people feel a little bit more approachable initially with. Can you talk about the uses and the differences between those two modalities?
acupressure is a great tool that we can do for ourselves. And as Anne was mentioning earlier about the Reiki, think about when we have a headache, sometimes we'll put pressure under the brow or at the temple, sometimes at the base of the neck. And those are acupuncture points. They're often points that we would use for headache. So acupressure is something that is helpful. We could do anytime. Colleen, would you like to say any more about acupressure? Colleen's one of our acupuncturists in the clinic.
Sure. So they're both viable. Like to me, ultimately, what that kind of decision comes down to is like the ultimate goal is for the patient to get better, right? So like what's going to be viable and more approachable for the patient. Acupressure is great as far as like take-home work and self-care work, or also if it's someone who just isn't comfortable with needles. And acupuncture needles are very fine, almost like human hair and guitar string needles. But that doesn't matter if you have needle phobia, right? Like I can show you any size needle and it can be too much for you. So acupressure, you're stimulating the same points, just like what Dr. Jennings is saying. It's just a different method. So it's just less invasive. studies are gonna be mixed on the efficacy of that. Most emphasis is on actual like puncture and needle work at this point. But that doesn't mean that the point is any less powerful in the aspect of stimulation or in treatment. Sometimes with acupressure, it will take more consistency with that because it's a subtler approach. Does that help or make sense?